Before we get to the meat of the video, I got some advice for you guys when dealing with Mega Latios and Mega Latias with the raids. So check this out. These are obviously level 6 raid bosses that we're talking about here. So for those of you who haven't done it yet, by the time this video drops, you probably got about like 3 hours or so before raid hour hits the United States. So be prepared. So how do you do that? Check this out. So there are 6 types that are good against both of these mega legendaries. We got bug type, which no. You got fairy type. The only one for that is really Togekiss. Everything else is a blankly no. You got ghost types, and the only one for that is Mega Gengar, which is this at best. You got dark types, which consists of more likely Darkrai, Tyranitar, maybe Shadow Tyranitar, maybe Hydreigon, how you pronounce that thing, maybe Yveltal, how you pronounce that thing, and definitely Mega Gyarados. I'll explain more about the Megas later. And of course you got ice types, which consists of Abomasnow, that's Shadow, Mega, and regular, Shadow Mamoswine, regular Mamoswine to a degree, Darmanitan, how you pronounce that thing, and well, the snowy version, and Revile obviously. And then of course dragons. So we talking Dialga, we talking Rayquaza, we talking Salamence, we talking Dragonite, we talking Mega Charizard X until you get your hands on Mega Latios, and then that's the one right there for you. Shadow Salamence, Shadow Dragonite. There's other dragons out there as well, like Zekrom and Reshiram if you want to go that route and things of that nature. So let me give you guys some tips in regarding how to deal with Mega Latios and Mega Latias. So first off, you must have a Mega that everybody can capitalize off of. So I don't care what party you come in with, I don't care what charge move Latias or Latios will be using, you must have a Mega. So again, if you come in with Mega Charizard X, that will boost up dragon type attacks until you get your hands on a Mega Latios, and I would highly recommend you do use that over Mega Charizard. Either way, you still get that boost in dragon types for everybody within the raid. Mega Abomasnow for your ice type users. So if you have an ice move, they will get a boost because somebody in there can have a Mega Abomasnow. Mega Gyarados. Now this one new to me, but until I looked it up, it actually boosts the dark types. So again, Tyranitars, I've been seeing a lot of those. Darkrai's, even Revile, which is ice and dark. So they get the boost as well, where their attacks get the boost if they're dark type. Of course, Mega Houndoom will work as well, but I would highly go with Mega Gyarados since its CP is like in the 5,000s. So there's that. Mega Gengar. Mega Gengar, the reason why I'm this about Mega Gengar is this. While it deals the most amount of damage out of all these counters, the problem is unless they stack, they don't really boost everybody else's Pokemon. So you're not seeing anybody else coming in there with a Haunter or a regular Gengar or any other type of ghost type. And if you say Giratina, well, if you want to go that route, there's better dragon types out there besides Giratina. And the only time you will use Giratina is if it's using Outrage or Psychic. And at that point, there's no point using Giratina. But back to Mega Gengar. So again, if everybody use Mega Gengar at the same time, does everybody get the boost? Does the boost stack from each and every Mega Gengar? I don't know. If it does, oh, we have a completely different ball game. Yeah, everybody should lead off with Mega Gengar. If it does not stack and they still count it as just one boost, because that would be considered cheating, I guess, I would highly not use Mega Gengar, because again, you would get more attacks off, but at the same time, you're not helping everybody else. So that's why I'm like this with Mega Gengar. And not to mention, Mega Gengar is a bit of a glass cannon rather. So there's that. Next, you want to have at least 6 people for Mega Latios and at least 8 people for Mega Latias. If you want a guaranteed victory, that is. Like, apparently you can knock on Mega Lati, I don't remember which one it was. It was a Fimblaws tweet. I don't remember if it was Latios or Latias. But you can knock on one of them with 5. And apparently I saw a Gardevoir that he was using, which again, I would not recommend you use that. But it's possible to do it with 5. Again, I don't know if it's Latios or Latias or both. I have no idea, especially since Latias is harder than Latios, which is a shocker to me. But if you want a guaranteed victory, I would recommend you get at least 6 people for Latios and at least 8 people for Latias. Now, do not mess with a Latias raid if there's less than 10 minutes left on that raid. Do not mess with a Latios raid if they're less than 5 minutes less, unless you're in a Discord, unless you're communicating with your raid party. So what that means is this: if you're driving around, you see a gym, and there's like less than 10 minutes left on that Latia raid, I would not even mess with it. Unless you're in the Discord and everybody's serious about raiding and stuff like that. You could get some communication going and organize real quick, then that's different. But if you're inviting a bunch of randoms, or you planning about a bunch of randoms, don't do it. Don't even mess with that gym. Don't even invite. Just keep it moving. And the same can be said for Latios raids when you approach a gym that have less than 5 minutes left. Don't even mess with it unless you can communicate and organize very quickly. If you receive the invite and there's less than 10 minutes on that Latios raid or in that Latios raid, yeah, you can jump in, but if there's not more than 10 people in that raid, I don't care if it's Latios or Latias, don't even do it. Back out. Because more than likely, there's a bunch of randoms. You was not hit up to see, oh, what's going on here, blah, blah. I would not risk it. I would not risk your raid pass. Do not mess with those raids if there's less than 10 minutes on it on Latias, if there's less than 5 minutes left on it on Latios. And lastly, if your entire party faints, stay in the lobby. Do not jump back in the raid, because there's a little rumor going around that if you jump back in, then Latios or Latias will regain some health. So, and obviously, if everybody faints, then it's going to regain health. But if you faint and then jump back in, it's going to regain health. So, the word is, if your whole party faint, just stay in the lobby, heal them back up, and pray that the rest of your raid party can knock it out. If it takes them a long time to knock it out, then you may have to jump back in there. But until then, do not jump back in there. That is the latest word. Because again, apparently, if you jump back in there, then you're going to see Latios or Latias up here saying, "You triggered my trap card!" So, don't do it. Now, with these strategies for these Mega Legendaries out the way, let's get on to the actual meat of this video. Alright, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. It's your boy True Inferno. Today's day is Tuesday, May the 3rd. So I am about 10 days, as I'm recording this video, before my trip to Louisiana. I can't wait for that. But that's not what this video is about. Oh no! What this video is about is a very interesting interview that One Training Tips did with the new community manager of Niantic. So her name is Kelsey, and she joined the company this past January. So while I won't play clips or the entire interview, because it's like 35 minutes long, but I will have a link to the interview in the description box below, not to mention one more link, which I will get to in a second, in the description box below as well. So what I decided to do is take some key points, some bullet points from the interview, and I'm going to share my thoughts with them and explain or express my feelings regarding what was said in this interview. So the first thing that caught me off guard was, her describing her role as community manager. So she basically says she's the middle point between the players and the developers, which I find to be very interesting. Even though that is true for most community managers, as if I know, but based on what I have seen in common sense, that is indeed true. But the one thing she did not mention in that explanation was the role that the publishers play, and I may be reaching with this one, the role that the shareholders, the stockholders, the investors play as well. So where they at in relation with the community manager, where the publishers at in relations with the community manager. In this case, the publishers will more likely be Nintendo, the Pokémon Company, maybe Gamefreak, but that's where I'm assuming the publisher will be. Maybe not Gamefreak, but they still have some type of say regarding what goes on with Pokemon Go. If you record one of Training Tips' older videos where he snuck into Niantic HQ and talked to some people from the Pokemon Company from Japan, Nintendo from Japan, and Gamefreak from Japan, or two out of those three. One of them being Gamefreak, without question. But moving on from that. So the first thing that they talked about obviously was the whole community day scenario, where it is now 3 hours, where a few months back it was 6 hours. So basically the suggestion, one of the two main suggestions that were brought up that I like, but only one of them was mentioned in this video, and that was like the players choosing their own start time for flexibility, because they have to work, they have other responsibilities to do, whatever the case may be. Her response to that is basically saying, the community likes to go to community days, and then once it's over, they go somewhere else, maybe to a bar, whatever the case may be, and they hang out. They trade Pokemon. They show up all the Pokemons and shinies that they have, or that they got at community day, whatever the case may be. Now, this is indeed true, because I recall back in Laboratory Community Day, I think that was in 2018. Yes, it is 2018. I spent that day in Indianapolis, and I met Pokemon Master Holly and DX1 for the first time. And I met the Indianapolis community as well. Great community, by the way. And once Community Day was over, a few of us went out and got something to eat. And we were just hanging out, showing each other's, Pokemon, trading, evolving, and stuff like that. So I get the vibe. I like the vibe. I've done it before. I had no problem doing it again. And then she mentioned feedback on their site and tweets, which often gets lost due to negativity. So there is a link for you guys to leave your feedback, and I'm gonna have that link in the description box below. Now, before I go on with that, here's what I will explain to you if you're gonna go to their whole feedback link or whatever. Put your big boy pants on and be adults, folks. So what I mean by that is this: name the issues you have with the game, name why it's an issue, and name how to solve it. She actually admitted that she liked reading stuff like that, for whatever reason, and so bring that to her. Obviously the 3 hours community days is an issue. Why is it an issue? And explain how to solve it. Obviously the whole Incense scenario is an issue. Name why it's an issue and how to solve it. I think I would do that for the Incense, because again, it's for, it's something that they took away in terms of the whole 1 spawn per minute and making it 5 minutes per 1 spawn, which is a huge drop off, and is at a point where I don't even use Incense anymore. And I'll get more on that later in this video as well. But back to her explanation to Nick's concern about, or idea about, the community choosing their own start time for flexibility. So basically, what she was getting at is, we want people to hang out during community day, after community day. In terms of anybody who don't want to take part in that or want to choose when to start, because again, they have other responsibilities, send them a feedback. And that was it. That's what I took from that. There was not like a resolution to people's concerns or to people's issues with the 3 hours community day window. It was just send us a feedback. That's what I took from that. Now, moving on to accessibility / disable issues or disability issues. So she actually admitted that she wants more data from those who have accessibility issues, from those who are disabled, because even though they got some data from it, but it's not enough at the very least for her. So she wants more data from players who are disabled or who have accessibility issues, which again, the whole feedback link will come to play. Now, what she also wants to do is keep the game fun for veteran players like myself, who've been playing the game since day one, or within the first month, or within the first year, whatever the case may be. And she also mentions the desire for new features from the players. So I can't speak for those who are disabled or who have accessibility issues, since I don't qualify for that. But I would highly suggest, again, you leave your issues regarding why you're having issues playing the game due to your disability issues or your accessibility issues, and come up with a way to solve it, and make their job easier. If you make their job easier, that means what you want more likely will come true. So keep that in mind. So I'm not going to get into that discussion, because again, I personally don't qualify. I don't know anybody who does qualify personally or online, so I'm not going to touch that subject. I'm going to leave it to you guys in the comment section below. Now, the next thing that was brought up that I took notes of is, what's to do when there's no more Pokemon to be added again? This one was like a stretch of a question, because obviously we got a new generation coming out later this year, and I think we're getting to Gen 7, and not every single Pokemon is in the game. Not every single Shiny's in the game at this point in time. It's gonna take a while, I believe. But what her response to that was that she wants to help community leaders, not content creators, community leaders, like those who are level 50s, who are experts, who are out and about in the game, who try to make the game more fun for their communities. So what she wants to do is help those individuals help others. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And she also mentioned about new features coming soon, which she can announce at this point in time, which is pretty cool as well. Okay, so we're getting some new features. I like that. I like that. And I never really had an issue when it comes to them adding new Pokemon or them adding new shinies, because if you recall the Dev Diary, the very first Dev Diary video where they talked about Community Day, you know, the mindset that goes on when it comes to selecting the Pokemon to be featured for Community Day is, what would Community Day be like in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? If all the dope Pokemon has been selected, what should they do 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Or better yet, let me ask you guys this question. Do you even care what happens 5 years from now? And be real. And once that 5 years occur, we still have that same mindset when that 5 years is now. And basically all the dope Pokemon is gone. Are you gonna say, well, they used all the dope Pokemon 5 years ago, I can't complain? Or will you still find new excuses to complain? So this is really why I had no issues in terms of them making the choices regarding the feature Pokemon for Community Day. And I'll get more on that in a future video, which is supposed to be this video, by the way. But this interview and these megas keep coming up, came up rather. So I had to push that back again. I'm gonna try to get that video out for you guys on Friday unless something crazy happens. But I will try my hardest to get my thoughts on May's Community Day on Friday. I will try my hardest to do that. So me personally, I have no issues with them regarding them bringing in new Pokemon slowly, or them picking the coolest Pokemon for Community Day or the crappiest Pokemon for Community Day. Just pick Pokemon that makes sense. So again, Alolan Golem, or Geodude rather, and not Alolan and regular Geodude. I don't get that. I'll get more on that in my next video, hopefully. Alright, so moving on. Now we get to another good one. Incense changes. So what she said was she admitted that they made that change too fast. So apparently this was beyond her control because, again, she joined the company in January and we don't know. Well, first of all, we don't know when in January. January 1st, January 31st, we don't know for starters. And we don't know when they made the decision to say, okay, we're going to change the Incense back to what it was, or we're going to just make it completely worse. You know, so we don't know when that decision was made and whether or not she was a part of that decision making. So there's that. Now, what she did mention, and this is very important, and this is going to annoy a lot of people. During the pandemic, which I'm going to call the pandemic saga, we were given features that was not meant to be permanent. Now, it did say in one of their blog posts, like, yo, because of the pandemic and because people can't go out as much, we adding these features so you guys play at home, but they're not permanent. They did say that, but I guess we got used to it, and they were like great features. It's a tough spot for them to be in, but despite that, you know, the fact that they still nerf the effectiveness of Incense is a gigantic no-no. But let's move on. Not giving people advance notice regarding Incense changes, that was a major hiccup on their part, and that's something that still stings them to this day. So again, even though they talk about that it's not permanent, but there was never a timetable in terms of, oh yeah, this feature will be active during the pandemic stage for 2 years, and then on this exact date and time we go. No, that never happened. So when they did let us know, oh yeah, the Incense is going back to what it was like, I don't know how long ago it was, like 3 weeks prior, a month prior, but again, it was still not like a lot of time was given to us as a notice. So they felt like, yeah, they messed up there, and it still stings them to this day. And they want to get both of being active outside and to be fun at home. So they want to create a balance in regard to the gameplay, where they want people to go out and socialize and exercise and form communities and hang out, stuff like that. And at the same time, they want people to still play the game at home and have a good time at home as well. Now, of course, Nick mentioned remote raiding, since he talked about this in one of his, right, he was in Mexico actually. He talked about how remote raiding is pretty much one of the reasons why people hanging out with the community isn't as major as it once was, because you can just raid from the comfort of your own home, which is true. And her response to that is the current plan is for them to try and get that back to how it was originally, but they're going really slow with that. And There's numbers of reasons why, obviously, because remote raiding is a huge cash cow. Look what's going on right now. So there's that. Another reason, because if they go too fast with that, a lot of people will get annoyed. So what they doing, instead of taking out a raid at this moment in time, they're added in setups for you to go out and raid. So again, if you go out and raid, this is a bonus. You get 2 remote raid passes per day. If you go out and raid Mega Latios and Latias, you will get XL candies. Apparently that's guaranteed. So they added incentive for you to go out and raid, as opposed to them added incentive rather to go out and use an incense, as opposed to staying at home. So again, that makes no sense to me. Again, they rushed that one. That was a gigantic no in my opinion. And then another thing that I brought up was pretty much like the game and content, for that matter, in terms of like videos and things of that nature. They can't be everything to everyone, basically. That was the term that was used. The game and content, but really we talk about Pokemon Go. The game cannot be everything to everyone. They want to be the best at a certain category, because they can't be the best at everything, which you did admit. And the category that they want to be the best in is people going out, getting their exercise, socializing, informing communities, and hanging out with communities. They want to be the best at that. So that's pretty much is their top priority. So she did, to a degree, admit that. And obviously they talk about new players versus old players, because some of the old players have left, and the ones that's still there complains about the game, where the new players are jumping in, and apparently they like the game as is and wondering why these old heads are complaining about it, because they don't know. So there's that. And that's pretty much was the whole interview, which is 35 minutes long. But the one thing that I did notice throughout the video is that, based on what I heard from her directly, she favors in-game data over feedback. That's the impression that I'm getting, because she mentioned a lot about in-game data, where we look at the in-game data, we look at the in-game data, we look at the in-game data. And I'm like, okay. She mentioned feedback here and there, but if you were to watch the interview, and the amount of times she said, or she talked about the game data or in-game data or the data, as opposed to the feedback, it's like this: data, feedback. It is really not balanced at all. So yeah, I truly believe, well, at least to her, that they favored the in-game data over the feedback. So what does this mean? So what this means is this: am I saying, oh, everybody should stop playing the game for 3 months? No, I'm not saying that. Or what I'm saying is, if they favor the in-game data over feedback, probably you should watch what you do in the game. You know, the incense is a major issue, and because of that, I have not been using incense. I have not been buying incense unless there was unless they were a part of some bundle where they had something in the bundle that I really wanted and it was a good deal. Outside of that, I don't use incense. I don't buy incense. The only time I would use incense is at the Go Tour event or the upcoming Pokemon Go event, where you can only get certain Pokemon spawning from incense. That's the only time. Outside of that, I don't use it for community days. Really not that much, and definitely not now. I don't use it at all because of the changes that they made to it. So hopefully, if you guys follow that same formula, they might look at the data and say, well, the amount of people that are using incense went down. So maybe we should like make a change to that so we can get people to use incense and spend money on incense again. So that's a possibility. But at the same time, I will say this, and this has been known, or this should be common sense to businesses and journalists and people in general, and that is this: just because you spend money or you take part in something, that doesn't mean you like it. You know, people go to work, that don't mean they like it. You know, just because they pay money to see a movie, that don't mean that they will like it. Like, I paid money to see The Last Airbender, and we all know that movie was trash. That don't mean I like the movie just because I paid money to see it. You know, just because I used to pay money to play NBA 2K, that don't mean I have fun playing it. Like, I had fun playing it for the first 2 weeks, but then after that, it went downhill. So just because people still play the game, that does not mean they like the changes Niantic made. So they don't like the changes at the instance, you know, to the instance. They don't like the 3 hours community day, whatever the case may be. But despite the changes that they don't like, they still play the game. So relying on data like that to say, oh, if people still playing the game or people still doing this, that means they like it. No, that don't mean that. That just means like, despite these changes that people don't like, the game as a whole is still entertaining in some way, shape, or form. It's the closest thing that people have to being a actual Pokemon trainer. And you know, the nostalgia of actually going out and catching Pokemon without sitting at home playing on your Game Boy or playing on your Switch, whatever the case may be. You can actually go out and go places and actually explore and play the game. So people still like the game, but they don't like the changes that are made within the game. And just because people play the game, that doesn't mean they like the changes. So that's something that people need to realize. And that applies to movies, to video games, to music, whatever. Just because they pay money for something or just because they do something, that doesn't mean they like it. So that's one thing that needs to be remembered, that needs to be kept in people's minds. So I felt like the interview was good, and this was her idea. This was not Training Tip's idea. He did not go up to them and say, yo, I heard you got a new community manager. No, this was her idea. So she wanted to put herself out there. I applaud her for that. I think this was a good idea, and this was a good interview. I feel like it could be better. I feel like it could be more informative in terms of there's a lot of issues that people don't like. What are you gonna do to make them happy? But it was more of an explanation of why they made the changes that they made, and to try and get us to understand. And even with that, I felt like it didn't fully hit the mark in terms of them that did not sound right. Them trying to get us to understand why they made the changes that they made. It wasn't that strong of a push. There was a push there, but it wasn't that strong of a push. So that's my thoughts on the interview. That's my thoughts on the topics that were tackled, and those were the bullet points that I got from the interview. So let me know in the comment section below what you think of the interview. And again, leave your feedback, not just on this video, but in the link that we have in the description box below. You can watch the full interview yourself. In the description box below is on Training Tips YouTube channel as well. And I'm gonna call it a wrap. So with all that said, y'all know what this is. This boy New J Gatsby, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah. You're gonna see Latios or Latias up here saying,
you triggered my trap card!
Subscribe. Thanks, man. Do it.
after you subscribe to the channel, make sure you click the bell icon so you never miss a new video or a live stream ever again. Thanks, guys.
Blue is the trainer, articulating paint. With my tongue, I done things that people said I can't. Now they ranking with the elite, but it's for the people, and victory is part of defeat. Cause when you get back on your feet, then you try again. Learn from mistakes, show them that I got what it takes, and I'm dying to win. I'ma hit and move away.